What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great start to your day the way that I surely am, because surprise, surprise, we are once again discussing the New York Mets and their trade options leading up to the July 30th MLB trade deadline. And here we have Patt Ragazzo, who covers the New York Mets as a beat writer for them through Inside the Mets, which is associated with Sports Illustrated, has come out with an article over the past hour at the time of recording this through an industry source stating that yes, we all know the Mets are going to be going in big at the MLB trade deadline, but they have now fully shifted gears to make a big splash for top tier players available on the market, and Kris, Bryant, and Jose Berrios, to name a few. So that's what I'll be breaking down in today's video. Everything there is to know about this current report, why it is so important with how the Mets currently stack up, not just in the standings, but with their injuries, and what kind of moves we could see happening sooner than later, and so much more. So as always, guys, make sure you stay all the way until the end of the video. Follow the details on all my thoughts on this current report and what it means for the Mets going forward. If you guys end up enjoying this kind of Mets content and you want to see more great Mets content like this, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, put on the notification bell, all those great things. Thank you so much for the continued support, guys. Now let's jump right into today's video. All right, guys, so first of all, if you don't know Pat, please make sure to check this article out in the description down below and give him a follow on Twitter just as a friendly shout out. I've been following him for a while. He really started to emerge as a Mets beat writer back in the offseason. It was really accurate with a lot of his reporting with a lot of the moves that the Mets were making. He also currently has a podcast with Frank the Tank Fleming. I know you guys either love him or hate him, but no less, he's been doing a pod with him for a while for some great Mets takes. So definitely check him out, guys. But he's been reputable for a little bit now, and this is an absolutely massive article, guys, because we're not surprised that the Mets have been showing interest in guys, because we reported on both Berrios and Bryant on the channel recently over the past week or so. So check out those videos in the description down below if you haven't already, guys, so you get thorough breakdowns on those players and what they could bring to the Mets if you don't know by now. But I think we all have an understanding on the impact these two can bring and then some. But what is so important about this piece here is the urgency the Mets now have, where they are both only 2 games ahead in the NL East when it comes to leading the division, only with the Phillies 2 games behind them. As we know, they definitely have an easier schedule down the stretch than the Mets do, and also with the Mets having injuries to 2 of their best players on the club. Francisco Lindor is out on the 10-day IL with an oblique injury, which very well could be out longer term. We're talking upwards of 3, even 4 weeks. He's never had this kind of injury before, and we all know you can't rush obliques, if you will. So there's a lot of uncertainty there, and that is definitely shifting the Mets into kind of we need to act fast mode when you're losing an all-star shortstop like him for at least 10 days, but probably longer than that. And Jacob deGrom, as we know, has felt an issue in his forearm, so he was put on the 10-day IL right after the all-star break, and we don't know exactly how long he'll be out. But no less, the Mets have literally nothing in their rotation right now between a Taijuan Walker that just got shelled in Pittsburgh, and we also have a Marcus Stroman who has yet to perform like Stroman of old from the past, prior to his past 4 starts. And we also have Tyler McGill, who's been exceeding expectations, has a sub 3 ERA on the season through 5 starts for the Mets, the 25-year-old rookie. But again, how much are you going to depend on him down the stretch? Carlos Carrasco is coming back. He has a rehab start tonight for Syracuse, no less, than they should be back with the club. Finally, we can see him in the orange and blue for the Mets. But the Mets need a lot of help rotation wise, depth wise, and everywhere, really. So for them to try to get an impact player now to help them, as they have been so since the all-star break. I was in attendance for the Pittsburgh game in which they lost, giving up a grand slam in the bottom of the 9th. We all know the story there. But no less, even after this comeback win 7-6 over the Pirates at the time of recording this, they want to upgrade this roster, and they want to do it fast to keep them not just afloat at first in the NL East, but they want a significant gap. They want to make sure that they win this division and it's not all that close. So how do you do that? Well, one, you obviously need to perform well. We know this with the team, but they also need to make sure that they make the proper upgrades and get the proper reinforcements to truly make a big splash, if you will. So that's why I feel pretty confident that we're going to see at least one of these kind of moves even before the July 30th trade deadline. So while nothing is exact there, don't quote me on it, I do feel strongly about this matter given the reports that we were now seeing from Pat, because again, when you look at the Mets currently where they stand, the article also states that they very well could find themselves over the luxury tax threshold by the MLB trade deadline. And while it's something that is nothing that teams actually want to do, the Mets don't have an issue with it, and they haven't since Steve Cohen came in the reins as the new actual owner for the Mets. So knowing that, they can find themselves getting a Kris Bryant, and we know the impact Bryant would bring. If you get Bryant, hopefully sooner rather than later, you can even get him where you say get more than just him, and that's why we talked about my previous Bryant video. You can get him. You can also possibly add the rotation with another depth starter like a Zach Davies, for instance, and talk about the bullpen, and I touched on in the past. But of Andrew Chafin. He makes sense for the Mets. He really does. The southpaw. Again, I talked about that in my previous video. But then when you look at Jose Berrios, as we know, the reports have talked about, if Jose Berrios does not reach an extension, then he very well could find himself walking with the Twins sooner than later. He's arbitration eligible at the end of the year, but then he could be done after that if he only signs, say, the qualifying offer or whatever it's going to potentially be. So even though the Twins have been conflicting reports to say that they don't necessarily want to be in sell mode, it also could be one of those things where the Mets are just trying to get Berrios and they're trying to put the price a little high. But no less, Jose Berrios, you bring him into this rotation right now, you get a 2 or a 3 starter easily for the Mets, who's having a monster year for the Twins. He is their ace currently, 27 years of age, has control on his contract for at least another year, and he has the potential, like Taijuan Walker, as they stated in the past, to really take that next level in his game and thrive, hit a new peak with the New York Mets. And Kris Bryant, we know what he would bring: versatility. You bring him in the club, you can have him at third base, you can even have him in left field, anywhere you really want him, so that way if JD Davis has a hot bat, you can keep JD in the lineup. You can put JD in maybe a platoon left field situation with Dom, depending on the pitching matchups. You could put Bryant on third. You could switch things in this scenario where you don't trade JD, of course. If you do, then that's a different discussion, but you can really get creative if you bring Kris Bryant in this lineup, and we all know the impact he's bringing. The 29-year-old, he was an all-star this year. He's very much in the prime of his career, and he's been connected with the Mets for literally a half year. We talked about him like crazy on this channel. I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but no less, the Mets, you can expect them to make a big splash sooner than later, and I have a gut feeling that we are going to see at least one significant move before the trade deadline. They've been showing interest in Tyler Anderson that we talked on in a previous video, so check that out for starting pitching depth. They need to add guys soon in this lineup, but they're not just trying to add bottom of the barrel pickups like they did in May with all their injuries, whether it was the Billy McKinneys of the world who exceeded expectations, of course, whether it was the Cameron Mabins who did little or nothing for them, but they just need bodies in the lineup. No less, the Mets are trying to basically do those reinforcements now, but with top tier players that they have been showing interest in for either weeks or even better over a half year, in the likes of Kris Bryant. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about this latest report connecting the New York Mets to not just one of Kris Bryant and Jose Berrios, but the two, and showing the adamancy, the urgency that the Mets would like to get some deals done sooner than later, make sure that they don't just stay afloat, but they take that next step into truly being the best team, the team to beat in the NL East, and will have no problem winning it and making playoffs. Let me know all your thoughts and comments down below, guys. If you ended up enjoying this kind of Mets content and you want to see more great Mets content like this, trust me, there will be a lot more discussions, a lot more player breakdowns, individual players about the Mets that are either connected to them or possibly could be connected to them leading up to the MLB trade deadline. If you like those kind of things, guys, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, on the notification bell, all those great things. Help us get 8,000 subs, guys, for our next short-term goal by August. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, it really helps out the algorithm. Really appreciate you all. So again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and of course, let's go Mets, baby.